Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Unity tutorial. In this one we're going to be moving on to our second character in the series. We're going to be making Tracer. In this video we're going to get through the dashing, which is slightly different to Genji's. So we're going to have directional dashing, so whereas Genji's is always forwards to where you're looking, Tracer can actually choose whether it's forwards, backwards, left or right. And then we're going to also implement the free charge thing. I don't know if we're really going to do anything with the UI, but we're at least going to add like a cooldown with free stacking charges. If we have time, then I'll do some UI, but it's up to you if you want to add that. You can always add some canvas thing and then maybe activate or enable an image component when you've got more stacks. I don't know, it's up to you how you want to go about doing that. But for this, we're just going to get the mechanic working. We're going to do some slight tweaks to the base player controller to make it, now that we're moving on to making more characters, we want to use inheritance from the base player controller. So for example, right now the Genji dash is very similar to the Tracer's dash, so we're actually going to create a base dash move, because a lot of characters are going to have dashes that work slightly differently, so we're going to do that. This video is going to be a bit of cleaning up what we've already done and then getting Tracer's version of the dash working. And then next video we're going to spend the whole video probably doing the recall move because it's quite in depth. So that's something to look forward to for next video. But yeah, before I waste too much time, let's get into it. So I'm going to thank my patrons. Thanks to Michael, Fulborm and Remy Bowden for their donations on Patreon this month. If anyone else is able to help out and support the community, then the link in the description below, and you also get access to these project files if that is an incentive you'd like. But anyway, so what we need to do is, first, we have the Genji prefab here, and we don't need to necessarily change anything on here, but one thing I did off camera, which is what I just mentioned about the dash, I've changed Genji dash to generic dash, and I've then just I've not actually changed any of the code, I've just changed the name. So, change the name here, change the name back in your code. You could just call it dash, it's up to you. Because nothing about this is strictly for Genji. This is just, generic. Now, I am technically overriding cast here to put this code in the cast. Now, in reality, we want to then override that again, the dash. So this here is just the dash. So if we do okay, it doesn't like that with coroutine. So what we need to do, we need to write our own function here, and this is going to be the mechanics for the dash. So we're going to write a protected. Does it need to be protected? Because we're overriding cast, and we're calling cast from inside. The reason I called it public is because eventually we're going to have an external system that calls these rather than handling it internally with the input, but it's fine. So for now we'll just do public virtual void dash, okay? And this is actually an IEnumerator, not void IEnumerator. And this code is actually just this. The reason we're putting the logic into here, and then here we can say start coroutine dash. I could even put yield after it, so I put yield return null, whatever. As long as you put a yield in there, it'll be fine. So anything that is a type of dash will do the dash, but we want to make this virtual so we can say how the dash works differently. So by default, we get the camera's forward direction, we wait, and then we cancel the impact on the player controller so that we don't keep going. But obviously in some we might want to keep going afterwards, and then obviously in this case we want to change the direction. So what we can do now is we can go, and I'm just going to do it through here. If we go into abilities Genji, we can just make a new folder called Tracer, and then inside here we can add a new now I'll do it for Unity, so we get the template code. It just makes life a little bit easier. So just like in Genji we've got movement and shuriken, we can go create tracer dash and then give it a second. So yeah, all I've done actually is just change the name of this script. Genji uses generic dash because his is just pretty normal. Then what we can do is we can delete Genji and go back to prefabs and take the player base, rename it Tracer, and then drag it back down into the prefabs and say we want a variant, and then just maybe get rid of the word variant if you want. So now this in the scene is a Tracer, and we can start building on her. So we want to actually add a tracer dash. Obviously we've not written any code for it yet, we've not inherited yet, but it'll be fine. And one thing to note for those of you, I think one person asked in the comments, and if you haven't seen this, you probably might want to care. We've used input.getAxis, which works obviously, but it actually has like under the hood inside here, it adds smoothing. So you might notice after you've let go of moving horizontal, you'll keep moving a little bit, just very slightly. And for, you know, FPSs and PC games, like competitive games, you don't really want that, and it also feels a bit odd. Maybe it feels better with controllers, I'm not sure, I don't play console or with a controller. So just add in the word raw afterwards, it's a different function, and that just returns the raw value without smoothing. So your input will feel a lot more, what's the word? It won't feel laggy. I mean, it's not laggy in the first place just because it's got smoothing, but it'll feel more responsive. That's the word, responsive. So make that be raw. We've got tracer dash, so let's go and write tracer dash. So tracer dash. We need to be in the namespace, if you're doing what I'm doing anyway, creating characters dot abilities. So now we have access to all the ability related code. We're going to inherit from generic dash. Okay, so because we've inherited from generic dash, right now if I don't code anything, you'll notice this works just like Genji stash, which is the generic one. So maybe we want a force of 100 over, because Tracer's blink is very quick, because well, it just is very quick, you know. You go very fast for a short duration of time, whereas Genji's is like you go further, I think, pretty sure you go further, but it's over a longer time. So this might be like 0.05 seconds. I don't know. You'll need to do your own play testing to see what feels good. But right now we should get the Genji kind of dashes. Obviously you travel much faster, but you don't go as far. Okay? We haven't added limits yet to like how often you can use it, but it's fine for now. So our main concern is we want to change the input. So all we actually have to code, because all this is the same, you know, you don't want to recode the same thing. We just want to override that. So we can say public override IEnumerator, or you can just go for dash. So we don't actually want to do really any of this. We just want to hand code ourselves how it works. So we've got to think about this now. How are we going to do it? This says go in the forwards direction of the camera, but we want to go depending on our input. Now, as far as I'm aware, Tracer can dash, well, forward, back, left, right, and diagonally. So in reality, what we want to do is we just want to read our input and dash, you know, depending on our input. So we need to get a vector for which direction to dash in. So like if I go to paint, if we are here and we are holding W, then we'll get back a 0, 0 on the horizontal and a 1, 0 on the vertical. And because it's 1, 0, we can go 1 in this direction and then 0 across. So it'll actually just be 1 up, and that'll be fine. Then if we hold W and D, so we want to go that way, we then get a 1 on. We get a 1, 1. So it's like 1, 0 would be here, 1, 1. Well, technically that'd be 0, 1. 1, 1, and then you're going across, you get 1, 0, and then so on, and then you start going negative, whatever. We need to get this vector. So the way we're going to do that is we need reference to the input. Now we could just write it again, like we could just you know, write if input, like get the movement input, and I think I'll do that for now. But one thing I do want to do in an upcoming video when I have time is to make a player input script, and that allows us to, for example, block input during a dash if you want to like not be able to blink during a recall, for example. Currently you could dash during recall, and that's what we want to stop. So that's something to worry about later. For now we just want the mechanics to get work. So public override IEnumerator dash, we want to just take our input. So I mean, to be honest, might as well just go to the movement controller and just do the same thing. So we want to get the normalized input and then make it relative to our transform, because obviously it is relative to us. So when we dash, we get the input and we normalize it so that we don't go further in the diagonal. We convert it to our relative direction, because obviously, I'll just open paint again quickly. The reason we do that transform.transform direction is because normally you'll get, you know, left, right, up and down. So if the player's facing up or forwards in the world space, then they'll go in the right directions. As soon as I'm looking this way and I hold forwards, it'll send me in that direction, but that's my left. So it's all about making it relative to how I'm facing. So get our movement input, transform direction, convert it, and then just like over here, we add a force like this. But we don't want to add force in this direction, we want to add it in the movement input direction. And then dash force. So these variables here need to be serialized field protected so that we can access them in the inherited classes. So there we go. And after we've added the force, we want to wait and reset impact, like so. So now, obviously, in Genji's, it's go in our forward direction, wait, and stop. And this, it's take our input and go in that direction, and then stop. So, fingers crossed, I can put this in full screen and test. Maybe I've done something wrong, but we'll see. So, is it shift? Ah, okay. So, that actually does work. If I hold back, right, forward, left. Only problem is I can't dash when standing still, because in Overwatch, by default, if you're not pressing, if you dash but this is 0, then you just want to go forwards. So we need to actually make a case where if we're not pressing anything, then, you know. So what we can say is if movement input dot magnitude, if the magnitude of the input is equal to 0, that'll be a float, won't it? So if the magnitude is 0, do this, else do this. So in the else, that it's not 0, we can just do the normal, you know, set it equal to that. But if our magnitude is 0, we actually want to kind of change it, so we'll just say, I messed up my indentation there. Movement input dot z, no wait, x is horizontal, so z is equal to 1f. Okay? And what that should do is basically say, if we haven't pressed anything, just pretend we've pressed forwards. So if I go back, right, left, forwards, and then I don't actually, okay, I feel like, yeah, I still need to convert it though, don't I? So let me just, we still want to do that. So we don't even need an else, we just need the if. If the magnitude is 0, then do that. And obviously what normalize does is it returns it with a magnitude of 1. So if it's 1, 0, then that's 1. Now that should be good to go. The problem is, because I didn't transform direction after I did the 1, it was doing it in the world's 1 forward, which is that way. But I want to go in my own forward, so, you know, dash, dash, jump, back dash, jump, left dash, jump, right dash. You know what I mean? I guess one other problem, I'm trying to think, Tracer, can she dash upwards or does she just go forwards? No, she just goes in a straight line, so this works fine actually. It doesn't matter where you're looking because she always goes on a single plane. She can't dash upwards or down. I'm trying to remember actually, can she? I might just leave it how it is, and then if people tell me, I've not played Overwatch in a long time and I'm trying to remember. Or is it the fact that you can go down but you can't go up? I think you might be able to go down but not up. You know what? I'm just going to leave it like that. I hope you guys are happy with that dash mechanic. And then if you tell me, Dappy, you're stupid, you forgot you can go down, then I'll add that next video. Don't worry. But I don't want to add it and then it not actually be like Tracer, so we'll just leave that. So that's the dash done. That wasn't that hard. We just want to add a, you know, check for if we can dash and have free charges on it. So let's add a serialized field private float dash. I know it's technically called blink, so I mean, if you want to call it tracer blink, then go ahead. I'm actually going to do that now. Blink recharge time. So that's how many seconds it takes to gain a charge back. Then in the private void update. Does our parent one use update? Yeah, I feel like both of the updates do happen if you inherit and use privates. But you know what, I don't want it to not so. I'm going to make private protected virtual void update, and then protected override void update. We want to do base.update, so we want whatever's happening there, we want to still happen. We want to listen if we press left shift to dash. And then here, after we've done that, we want to say CLS field private int max blinks. I'm going to set it equal to 3 because obviously that's the normal, but you might want to put it 5. It's up to you, but keep it 3 for now because that's how many it actually is. And then when you store private int remaining blinks and set that equal to 0 when it's initialized, we have 3 blinks right away. So every frame we're basically going to say if max blinks, no sorry, if remaining blinks is less than max blinks, do this code. And we also need to have a private float current blink recharge time. So, and this will equal 0. So if that's that, then we say add time.delta time to that, so we'll just increment it over time. And as soon as that reaches, so after we've added to it, if current blink recharge time is greater than or equal to the blink recharge time, remaining blinks plus plus. So if we're not on full, then add some to it. And then if we, and then after we've added that, we need to set the current blink recharge time back to 0, so it can then go up again. And just to show this works, we could just for now, I'm going to make it private again after I've shown you it works. But let's go test it. If we go to tracer, wait, did I do the wrong thing? Why is player movement controller? That's interesting. Why is that showing? Usually protected things don't show. I don't think. That's interesting. Oh, that's probably just a bug because I've renamed stuff. It's probably messed up. Tracer blink. Tracer blink. Yeah, it's gone now. Okay, so tracer blink. Max blinks 3. The time it takes to get one back, we'll say 1 second. Now remaining blinks is there. I'm not going to touch it. That's just to show you that it works. So now, whoops, I need to actually add in, don't I, the thing that says whether I can dash or not. So before we actually do the dash, I need to say if remaining blinks, if the remaining blinks are greater than 0, well, if it's not greater than 0, so if it's less than or equal to 0, I want to return and just get out of this. I think it's a yield break that gets out of it. It'll just stop running the rest of this. But then if we actually end up doing the dash, so in reality you want to put it on cooldown, or you want to remove the dash as soon as you get into this part. So we'll say remaining blinks minus minus, so we just reduce one of the blinks. Play. I mean, we can always refactor this later, as I keep saying, but it's good for now. So just have a look down there. It says remaining blinks 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. And then when it's 0, I actually can't blink. I have to wait for the blink. So if I just make this bigger so you can actually see the gameplay better to tell whether I'm actually dashing or not. Alright, so it's on 3, 2, 1, 0. And now I actually can't blink. And as I'm just spamming it, I have to wait for the cooldown. And if I stand still, 1, 2, 3, then I can go bang, bang, bang. So there you go, the blink cooldown works, and you get 3 dashes. Obviously you can tweak the recharge time, so rather than 1 second per charge, it might take 2. I can't remember, I don't know what the actual values are, and I'm not going to bother going on the wiki page to look them up right now. Maybe I will actually at some point, like I can actually get real values to make it feel like the actual character, but for now, I think this is fine. So if you like these videos, and obviously leave a like and subscribe, it'd mean a lot. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos. So for Blink, well, I've already done Blink, so for Recall, I don't think I'll do her guns, there's no point, they're just normal guns, though I might do her ult, because her ult's pretty cool. Have it like stick to something. I'll make an object that's moving and have it like stick to it and follow, and then it blows up after some time. So next video we'll do Recall, then the third video we'll do the ult. I understand some people, well, no one's actually asked me for this, but I've only just realized really I haven't done Genji's Deflect, which is a kind of ability that would be interesting to make. But it's up to you guys. If you do want that, then say below, but if you don't, then I'll just keep going on with Tracer and onto new characters, because I already spent 3 videos doing Genji, but he came out pretty well and like quite accurate to how he actually feels in the game. So yeah, if you haven't already, leave a like and subscribe. I've already mentioned that, sorry for keep plugging it. As well as that, I guess I'll plug my Patreon. So if you do want access to all these files and stuff, I've got them on my Patreon for the $5 per month tier or higher. That would be greatly appreciated, it would help me out, and then you can also have access to the project as I update it. But yeah, apart from that, thanks for watching and goodbye.